Here we are with Yaakov Horowitz.
Came to Chabad. I found Chabad where they found me. I'd never done a puppet show, never had a puppet in my hand before. Important it is to use your talents for Yiddishkeit, to promote Judaism, bring it to everywhere you can. She handed me humming, something. Wow, I could do this voice. And
Uziel, you have good questions.
That's a good question.
I mean, look at you. You're making Mimistike Fabrengens over the internet.
You are listening with the Pinchy podcast with Uziel Naparstek, where we go deep with people from our childhood. All right, here we are with Yaakov Horowitz, one of the most influential and most revolutionary from entertainers when he started out with his puppeteering with classic videos like Uncle Pinchy, When Mashiach Comes, Miracles, Rachanina Mendaisa video,
the Rambam Cures the King.
Yeah, Rambam Cures the King,
the Dancing
Bear, all those classics. And here we are. There's also another one with about
Mashiach is on his way.
Mashiach's on his way. Yeah, that's that one. But there's also one. It was a. It's.
You're going way back, way.
Yeah. But it was
about Tzedakah Tzil some harm. That's the real one. Yeah.
Yes, that one.
We tried to destroy that one because it's a.
Really?
Quality.
Why?
No. I'm just quality wise. I think we went a long way from in terms of tech. Ability. So I wasn't so proud of that years later, but. Like everything else, we concentrated on the content, and that was there. At least the content was there. The puppetry wasn't developed, the videography, but the content was there.
Yeah, but I thought it was a classic for me because it really was one of the firsts.
Yeah.
So let's start with a little bit about yourself, your background, how you got into puppeteering.
Okay. I did not grow up Lubavitch. I didn't grow up Frum, for that matter, either. I grew up as a conservative kid in Brooklyn, Flatbush. And came to Chabad. I found Chabad where they found me in University of Buffalo, Rabbi Herschel Greenberg and Nusser Garari. And they said, they learned with me for a while. And they said, now we don't really have so much time for you. It's time for you to go to yeshiva. And I really wanted to go to Morristown because I love the country. And they said, no, you need to be in Hadar Torah in Crown Heights, see what the whole community is like, the Rebbe's Fabrengen family. So I went, and I'm glad I did. That's my journey from, non-Frum to Frum Lubavitch, which is getting close to 50 years ago, like 1975, 50 years ago. And as far as puppetry, I had no clue. I mean, I'd never done a puppet show, never had a puppet in my hand before. But my wife, whom we met when we both came to Chabad about the same time, she had she learned puppetry, and she was in puppet theaters in Boston, actually political puppet theaters. And it's an interesting story because when she came to Crown Heights, she went to Beis Rivka, and Rebbetzin Groner, wife of Leibel Groner Shalom, was giving a class and a chazara from the Rebbe's Fabrengen. And she said the Rebbe spoke this Shabbos about how important it is to use your talents for Yiddishkeit, to promote Judaism, bring it to everywhere you can. So the women were, on fire. And that night they said, they stayed up all night, and one said, I'm a seamstress. I'm going to sew. I'm going to make puppets. The other one says, I'm this musician. I'm going to songwrite. My wife does. I can know how to act. I'm a writer. And they stayed up the whole night, and they wrote the Purim show, Megillas Esther, which was at that time almost a 3-hour script, which is ridiculous. You can't do a 3-hour puppet show. And they performed it for Beis Rivka, and the girls loved it because no one had ever seen a puppet show before. And they called themselves the Ufaratz Puppet Theater. It means outreach, because that was the purpose. And at that time, there were a lot of Russian immigrants, so they were most doing a few of their shows where taxi brought them to a yeshiva with the Russian kids, and they did the story of Purim, whatever. And they did a few shows that year, and shortly after that, we were married. And my brother was now living in Buffalo, and the shluchim were still there, and they heard about the puppet theater, and they said, we'd like to bring you out. We can't really pay anything, but we'll pay plane tickets. So I said, I'd love to go to Buffalo to see my brother. Could you teach me how to be a puppeteer? So my wife said, okay, here, she handed me humming. She handed me Yaakov Horowitz. I said, I'm humming Russia. Suddenly, wow, I could do this voice. And King Ochashverosh, Mordechai, I'm back and forth. So I never knew I could do this. I don't know if I was good or not, but I could change my voices. So I was schlepped into the puppet theater. And that was really the start of my puppetry career. And we were doing a few shows. And at that time, there was no such thing as kosher entertainment. And yeshivas had there was such thing. So we said, this has been outreach so far, but I have a feeling this could really work well as a very powerful teaching tool. So let's pitch it to the real from yeshivas, Mir Yeshiva, Torah Vadas. And we went there and they were very scrupulous to look at the script and make sure it was really 100% kosher. And my wife is a really good writer. She's done lots of research, Midrashim, everything. And they said, yeah, let's give it a shot. And once we were there, we were able to go to other yeshivas. We were in Mir Yeshiva, we were in Torah Vadas, it's kosher, yosher. And that's, that's where it started really. And it grew from there. When I say grew, we were never, famous, rich, but this became my life's work basically.
What I find interesting as you were talking about how far and how long you've been doing this is that there's obviously been different forms of entertainment, and especially how Yiddish entertainment has revolutionized and evolved. But what's funny is that kids have never gotten tired of the platform of puppets. A lot of times, it would start out with like the glitchy animation, and then kids got more into the 3D animation and then like actual movies, but puppets has always been the medium of kids constantly loving and watching. Why do you think that is?
I think they just love the simplicity. Like you said, the word glitchy, that they don't like the kids. I don't think kids want it. I mean, even in our shows, we have the same, we're not big on lighting and special effects. I think they just like the simplicity, the purity of the messages, and it comes through so well with the puppets. And I'm still amazed because the whole puppet stage is maybe 6 feet wide and the playing area is about 3 feet high. So it's all taking place in this little space, and somehow the kids are just drawn in, and it's totally real to them. One of my favorite stories, we once do a story about tzedakah. Tzedakah saves from harm. So we have a man, he's ragged dressed, he's walking around, I'm so poor, I'm so hungry, isn't anyone going to help me? And a little kid runs up with a nickel in his hand from you, I'll help you, miss, I'll help you. It becomes so real for them. And I've never ceased to be amazed by the power of it. And that's why I keep doing it with, I put my energy, because I just think it's a beautiful thing to do, be able to educate the kids in this way.
What's interesting is that also, as opposed to like real theater with real actors or something, but puppeteering, you're under a stage, you're under some platform, you're under some curtain. So the only feedback is what you hear. How is that when you're getting the feedback by just hearing the laughs or hearing the kids' reactions or when they answer the questions? Is it sometimes difficult, or do you actually appreciate just the sound of the children?
No, I don't need to see, although actually true, the old puppet the old puppet curtain we had, which unfortunately was stolen from my car, but it had slits in it. I was able to watch the audience. But I think at this point, after this 40 something years, I know what works and what doesn't. And each show, it builds on what, that was funny, we're going to put that into the next show. So I think we're in tune with what's going on. I don't think it's any lack of not being able to see them. What else? I play guitar also, so I know with this age, we have to always change activity quickly. So we try not to make long stories. A standard program is probably 40 to 45 minutes. And in that 45 minutes, unless it's a Hanukkah or Purim, which are very long stories, it'll usually be 3 different stories. And in between, I'll play guitar, have them stand up, move around, activities, because they just don't have the ability to sitzfleisch to be there that long.
Was it always like that, or just recently?
Oh, that's a good question. You would think that it's changed because but the kids have less with all the stimulus. But I think stimulation. I think it's about the same. I don't see that. I just feel that's the age, though. It's what you say. I'm sure is true. The kids can't sit it for long because of everything going on in the media. But somehow with the puppet show, I just felt it always. We struck one pattern that works. And we just keep doing it because I like to stay with success. I know what's going to work. Which song's going to get them up and moving. Which joke's going to work.
So what's interesting is that you kind of done both aspects of doing puppeteering in camera and puppeteering in the audience. What would you say is the mila of doing it by audience and the mila of doing it on camera over the other?
Well, a live show I much prefer, only because you have the give and take of the audience and becomes much more live, and it's easier to get. I never lose my excitement for the shows. That's what I keep doing. Everything show is new to me. I've done the Kalkep Shabbos, maybe 4,000 times or something. Who knows? It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm into the show every time I do it. But that's my thing. I love doing it. And I feel I want to give over my best, but then there's only certain things you can portray. Like there on video, we can show a much larger. It's usually 2 puppeteers, so it's a maximum of 4 puppets up at any one time, and it's okay. In general, it works fine. But if you want to show a bigger scene, or you want to show the sun going down, or something, Sunny Bendos, it's going to be Shabbos, we have to say it, and the kids have to imagine that's what's happening. In a video, you can really create much more. So that's a big advantage to that, of course. But given my preference, I'd much rather do a live show. Yeah. But the greatness of the videos that people in shulchan had with kids in France and who knows where have get some Jewish education for their children. They may not have it.
So the first puppet video that you did was the Tzaddik No Harm. What gave you the inspiration to go into making media of puppeteering on camera?
It wasn't my idea, actually. My neighbor, Nachum Friedberg, just said, he saw the Uncle Pinchy show, actually. He said, this is great, let's make a video. He had some background in film, so he put that together. It was our story, but he directed that. And I never thought of doing it before that. It wasn't a big money maker. None of our videos were real money makers, but it was for the Indian of getting it out there. I don't do them anymore because just, people don't buy DVD. We watched the process. We started with video cassettes. Then we went to DVDs. Then we went to who knows, what else. Now everything's streamed. So it's too costly really to do it. And then it's hard to get money back from such a thing. So I'm happy with what we did. And I'm still totally very active with the live shows whenever I can. I'm still out doing them, 20, 30 shows a Hanukkah season, 30 shows a Purim season. Summers are busy.
What's also interesting about your shows that typically other puppet shows don't do is that you also act as yourself in the puppet shows.
Yes.
Which adds a lot of milo because it does give some sort of reality to the children when there's like a real life person interacting with the puppets. So it kind of gives more realism.
Yes.
But also like it gives a person. Yeah, no problem. But also like it gives a more personality into the project. Whatever it is. What did that naturally come into the stories when you did it, or
I was going to say naturally because I have really no background in puppetry. It's not like I saw this and wow, this is a great idea. It's just kind of one day we wrote a show. I'm trying to think where it might have been first. Probably. Did you see the Getzel Shlomo show ever?
Oh yeah,
that's a great one. That's my favorite show.
Amazing one.
Yeah. So that just it lent itself. We needed a live person to be Getzel Shlomo, to be this beggar out there he couldn't have brought it across that character as with a puppet. So I said, let me do it. I'd never really acted before. And that's another thing. Like I'm naturally on the shy side. So this was a great thing for me to start doing the puppetry and being behind the stage and not seen. And I really came out a lot. My personality really came out a lot. And I got the confidence to go out and act. And then once I did that, I said, wow, this really works great. The kids love it. And I've enjoyed it very much. So then a lot of our shows where I was out front in different characters.
That's interesting you say that because if you really think about it, the other videos that had real actors with the puppets kind of had that same idea that it was best portrayed if it was, let's say, a child actor playing Moshe's son in The Dancing Bear, or Chanin Bedaisa, the child actor that's walking around interacting with the puppets. Like it kind of gave some sort of message that you can't really portray in a puppet. Right. So is there a lot of cheshbon when you decide between the actor or puppet, or is it just when you naturally write it, does it come to
I want to be honest and say not a lot. I mean, it's just kind of what we're, and it's very hard to get child actors who are really, dependable and count on them. And so I have a bunch of my kids, or my kids are all older now, but they all were in the puppet show at one point. Some of them were in the video. My son, who's now 29, was the 12-year-old in Chanina Bendosi. It was a long time ago.
Wow.
But acting is in the family. My wife is an actress, so my kids were good. But in general, it's difficult to find someone that you can really count as going to do the job. We want it to be, bottom line, we want it to be professional. I'm not measuring myself to whatever Sesame Street, whatever these things. We're not, but we want to make the most professional, effective program we can. So we more tended to use puppets, but it was usually just that one actor up front, myself.
So I kind of have like one or two questions about each video. So the Getzel Shlomo one, what gave inspiration to do that story in a video?
To make a video, let me I'll give you a general answer that basically every video that we made was a live show first. It was always performed live.
Uh-huh.
And then we saw, wow, this is a good show, and it can only be better as a video. So that's,
Even
I mean,
the When Mashiach Comes video?
yeah, everything was done live first. And it could have been done for a few years even. And we got it to the point where it was really sharp, strong, tight. And then pretty much for the most time, it became a better video than a live show. It lacked the excitement of the live give and take. But again, technically, and we could, oh, that didn't go right. Let's shoot it again. Let's get a close up. Let's do this. And, we had people in general who knew what they were doing in terms of editing. And I feel, they're not masterpieces, but I think for the Jewish world, they were good. Let's put it that way. And for content, I'm very proud of it,
Right. And but also what's interesting is that you kind of push the envelope in the videos in different ways. And one of the things that I naturally think about is like the idea of scary or seriousness in the puppet shows. Like, let's say Uncle Pinchy with the robber, or Gensel Shnumel with the Yetzer Hara, or when Mashiach Comes with the Arabs versus the soldier. Like, these are like kind of like serious topics for children. Like,
okay, so are you asking or criticizing? I want to get where it's coming from.
I'm serious. I'm generally asking, like, what kind of goes into the writing when you get to the serious stuff, and at what point do you go like, yeah, this is too much?
Okay. First of all, everyone likes the struggle between good and evil. So that's usually what makes the best shows. Really, there has to be some antagonist. Let's clear. Here. Let me ask you if you can guess who this might. Oh, you've probably seen the show. So this was never a video. Oh, he was doing a video.
That's the Yetzer Hara.
The Yetzer Hara, yeah. You don't know about Yetzer Hara. You don't know anything about Yetzer Hara, do you? What I do. So
good.
I mean, look, I can't help it. They're the most fun. The most fun is to be the bad guy, but the kids, as long as it's not, you're right, it can't be frightening. I get a lot of mileage out of this joke. It's pretty good, but my wife is now a therapist. She's a really good therapist, and she specializes in trauma. So I said our family business that I would traumatize the kids with these scary puppets, and then he could come to my wife for trauma therapy afterwards. Took a few years to put down. But no, you're right. You have to be like the show you said about at the Kosel with putting the bomb in. So we don't do that anymore. Eretz Yisrael it's too sensitive. You can't do a show about blowing up the Kosel.
Right.
So we just don't do that show anymore. But Yetzer Hara we still do because the kids just connect to. I mean, that's a beautiful message. Yetzer Tov, prevailing over the Yetzer Hara, and everyone has this power to. And it's halacha l'mais. It's what we really learned something positive from this. So I do that, but people tell me all the time when they talk about Uncle Pinchy, they say, "Where's the robber? Do you still have the robber anymore?" This is what they remember. Where's the robber? He was a huge puppet. The robber was a huge puppet, and we used to go away for Shabbos. So we'd open up the blinds of the living room and put him in a chair, so it looked like someone was sitting in a chair. So our house would never get broken into when we were gone.
Oh, wow.
He was a big puppet. He was made of aluminum. He was made of foam rubber. Eventually, just disintegrated. So that should happen to all the robbers. They must have just disintegrated.
Yeah. Has there ever been a time where when you're planning a show, or let's say you're writing for a video, you were like, "Oh, let's do this. Oh, wait, that's a little scary. So let's dial it down." Does that ever happen?
Usually not, but more like. But we'll get, if it is, we'll know the first time we do it.
Uh-huh.
We'll hear about it from. And by the way, I mean the preschools are. I'm not saying wrong. Rightfully so. They're very concerned about frightening kids. And a usual comment before the show starts: "Don't make it too scary," or "You're not going to hang humming, are you?"
Right.
And you're not going to chop off. When Yehudis, you're not going to chop off the general's head. No, I mean I wouldn't do it, but we used to hang humming and we stopped. No, it was. I thought it was great, but our audiences. So for some reason, our audiences have gotten younger. It seems like our main audience now is 3 to 6. So we've had to simplify the shows and tone them down because Right. I want to be a little scary. It feels good sometimes. I once went to we had a family therapy session for one of the families, and the therapist said, "I know you're such a nice guy because you get a chance to get all your aggression out in the puppet show when you're backstage and you're holding these puppets and bow down to me, So you get it all out then, and you can be a nice guy in real life. So there's some truth to it, probably. I hope."
Also, like a lot of kids won't realize, but that Hanukkah video when like the the Greeks are destroyed. Like you see like their heads rolling around,
Oh, see, that's another thing that those videos that, I mean, for kids, they're still good. But for me, I wouldn't want to even to get out there because it was very primitive. It just was, the puppetry was terrible and we didn't know what we were doing.
Right.
It was made like 40 years ago, whatever. And we were just starting. So, but whatever. The story is good, but I would
Yeah.
even think of doing it again in a better way, technically.
But it's not just you. Like even me, like when I look at the first videos I ever done, like as a kid or even as a matter of fact, like just a year ago when I first started,
Yeah.
like I could see myself like, oh my gosh, like I was really boring in that video. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, the editing, I would have done it differently now. Like there's a lot of things that like, oh gosh, I wish I didn't do it that way. But as a creative, you kind of evolve in a way and you go to the point where you're like, oh wait, I did it that way. That's terrible.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
You had in those videos the puppets that were like the doll puppets kind of were like they were not really mouth moving, which nowadays it's probably harder to get kids to watch kind of because when you have the puppet moving up and down, or just a doll just moving around with the hands moving, it's probably much harder. But my question is there a Mila that you could think of that there was besides for practically like, oh, you don't have to move your hands as much, but was
Oh,
there a Mila when it came to on stage or on screen when the children will watch that there was in the doll over the puppets?
the only advantage I could think of is what you mentioned that you can move your hands and pick up props and everything
Yeah.
is just otherwise just mouth moving and you have to it's like a little dance you have to do with the puppet to make him come alive and you always have to be able gentle movements and the other ones have the big advantage. It's true, and that's when I spoke about how wondrous it is that kids can watch this little tiny opening in the stage and it's a whole world to them. Same thing when the puppets, we still use the puppets that have the paper mache heads or cloth heads that don't move their mouths. And that our Hanukkah and Purim shows those are the ones because we're very dependent on props. They're all holding props, and it's a lot of puppets. I still have puppets that we didn't make so many, but they were made for us 30 years. We've retouched them. We're still using them, and I'm amazed that the kids believe that these are okay, even though their mouths are not moving and the voice are coming out. King Antiochus says, "Bow down to me," and he never moves his mouth, and they all still scream, "No!" So I don't know how
Yeah.
that works, but it does. I don't understand everything about this why, but I know what does work. I don't know why, but I don't what does work.
What is behind the music in the puppet shows? Which is not interesting because some of those songs are classic song, like the Pushka song. Like, was that originally in that video? Did he get it from it? Because that is a classic
No, no,
song.
no. We took it from him, from Moshe. Yeah, so
Oh, okay,
yeah.
fine.
No, it's my wife especially. We both write songs together. She's especially good at writing, but we've composed a lot of the songs, but they're never original tunes. Some of them from Nigunim, some are from
Hmm.
if I should be ashamed to say from a Broadway show or something like I
Right.
told you at the beginning, I'm Baal Tshuva, so we know other music. We try not to use. We wouldn't use it if it's like really grub trafe music, but something like call it parv, let's say we'll take it and take that tune and write words. Well, maybe a takeoff of the almost similar words but kosher words. But
Right.
that particular song you mentioned was a Moshe Yes original. And he took it from another. There's another song, a secular song like that. A Nickelodeon, something whatever. He took that tune and changed the words, and then we took his and we changed the words again.
Um, was there any so in a typical show, because I really am interested in the practicality, because it's momish like set up and do the show and leave. Like it's interesting, like it's also like you and maybe some other people. So for people to know behind the curtains, how many puppeteers are there?
It's almost always two people. Every once in a while, I have a third person, but rarely. It's I after this many years, my arms are not doing really so well. I still can do shows, but a Hanukkah or Purim season becomes very grueling. As I said, we'll do 30 shows in 2 weeks, and that means usually 30 different setups. Taking the equipment out of the car, setting it up for half an hour, setting up the sound system, 45-minute show, packing up for 15 minutes, putting in the car. So for those type of seasons, I do usually have a third person, but he'll hold the puppets, and I usually just do the voices. But in general, it's not much room back there. It's really meant to have two people back there, four puppets, and we each have a microphone on a headset mic that swivels with us. So that was another way back when we used to have a handheld mic or taped on the thing and
Yeah.
get very, very uneven sound. So we have these lavalier mics or headset mics, like almost like an airplane pilot, and we get a fairly good sound like that. And the sound we have, all the music, the voices are always done live every show, except when we need a woman's voice. I have my wife's voice is taped because none of the guy, the guy who works with me, we can't do a realistic woman's voice. So I have that on tape, and everything's. One improvement I made a few years ago was set up an iPod with a foot switch, and just the way it was meant. It was meant to be. It's called air turn. It's meant to be for musicians. Instead of having to turn the sheet music, they have it on an iPad, and they step on this little pedal, and it goes to the next thing. So now we can do the same thing. We have all our music on tracks, or if it happens to be my wife's voice in there, and it's written out in front of me, and I, one to step on it, next one, other right hand pedal, advance it to the next track, and it's it's a pretty smooth system like that.
Is the creative side of you kind of annoyed when it came to like times where you had to have someone take you over and you're doing it just yourself because you're not the one in the puppet, like
I don't find that boring. The other thing is boring. To hold puppets and not speak can be very boring. For the one who has to just hold the puppets and never talk, that could be very tedious.
Yeah.
But for me, I still enjoy doing the puppets, but I really love doing voices and creating characters. So I'm okay with that. I still love doing puppet shows, the puppeteering, but I like the fact that I can rest my arms and prolong my career this way.
So have you ever thought
I'm going to be in this another few weeks? I'm going to be 75. So
wow, Mazel Tov.
And I still feel like I feel like 45 or younger. I feel strong. I just want to keep doing this as long as I can. So I want to be active in it as much as I can. Gives me a lot of chayas.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And a big part of your business, besides for your hands, is your voice. What's like certain techniques or things that you try to be careful about?
So I held this up. I held out on this because I thought I might need it for the interview. But you see this?
A Ricola, yeah.
A Ricola. I never do a show with that, except if it's a fast day. There's always one of these in my mouth to lubricate my throat. It's always
every show.
Every show. Sometimes two a show. It's really I've become dependent upon it. It's really great for my voice and something. Thank God it's only happened a few times that I've lost my voice in a really big season, and it's been a problem. It's been a real problem. I depend on Hashem a lot that should get me through each season because I put a lot of energy into it, and I have a lot of these very harsh, raspy. Well, the villains have the harsh Yitzhara. It takes a lot out of myself. My daughter's been nudging me for years to just do it, make a tape, like a soundtrack, which would be the very smart, practical thing to do. But I don't always listen to the smart, practical thing to do. And I just think it would be so boring for me if I just pressed the button and let the thing run. And it would never, I don't think it could possibly involve the kids because we do every, like you say, you kids from Base Rivka, are you going to listen? Are you okay? So we put the name of the school in and talk to the kids during the show. There's a lot of give and take during it. And I wouldn't want to lose that. I would never want to lose that dimension to the show.
Well, a good idea you could do is that on one of the shows you just record you doing the show and then you give it to a guy to edit it and in a way that it sounds like a story tape somewhat.
Good. I probably won't listen to you either though, so I don't feel bad. that's just my nature,
Yeah.
Unless you can convince me that I thought of it myself, maybe I'll do it.
Do you have a personal favorite puppet?
I have to say Uncle Pinchy, right? Wait 1 second. I'm going to show you something now. I will get your professional opinion on this.
Sure.
I have to put on his glasses so he can see you better. Oh, there you are. I can't believe it's him. It's really him. He's so excited. He's excited to see you too. This is Uncle Pinchy. Now, this is what I want to show you. I'm starting to, the last few years, I've been playing around with ventriloquism for a long time. I'm finally going out and doing it in the shows, getting over my block. But I had someone in Canada. I sent her a picture of Uncle Pinchy because I wanted to see if we could make an Uncle Pinchy puppet, ventriloquist puppet. What do you think? Does he look believable?
Can I see with that puppet with the glasses? Yeah, I was going
to say I'm going to have to put the glasses on him. They're not exactly going to fit, but
yeah,
can you get by?
For ventriloquism, I guess you could get by, but for my from my childhood opinion, nostalgia always beats the real thing.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
But so yeah, ventriloquism, is that something you've been working on recently?
Well, I bought an online course like 12 years ago, and I've been playing around with it. A lot of the skills I have already, I mean, changing voices and manipulating the puppets, the main things I have, but the hardest thing, of course, is the mouth movement and to really, and so, I'm a perfectionist. I like doing things that I know are going to come out good. That's why I can do the same show over and over and over again because I know it's going to be successful. And I'm never confident about this, but I've been working on this for the last couple of months. And because I want to do something different. I really, for a few reasons, I want to break out into a different thing. I think people would like to see another type of entertainment, so that's my goal. Not with Uncle Pinchy, but I have other puppets, the ventriloquist figures, and I'm not great, but I feel comfortable to go out and we'll do it now, which is a big thing for me.
But also what's interesting is that like one major difference that people don't really think about is that when you're behind a curtain or you're under the stage, you're kind of free to do whatever you want with your face. But ventriloquism, your face is the show. The fact that you're not doing anything,
right? It's
a whole extreme.
You're right. It's a whole different thing. I said it, but I have the main skills, but it's done the other. It is a totally different form of art, and but I want to get there. I think I'm going to get there. I am going to get there.
Yeah. Mr. Shem. Is the one video that people always come back to you for feedback and stuff is Uncle Pinchy, I bet?
Yeah.
In the Uncle Pinchy one, you also had The Unhappy King, which is a classic of a story and video and such a great lesson. And what's funny is that it's one of the shorter plays you probably have, right?
Right. I think, as a matter of fact, I think that's really, you would ask me for about acting out front. I'm pretty sure that's probably the first time I went out front. I think so, because that's a very old show. Right. And that's another, all these old ones, like I said, I can't tell you how many thousands of times we've done the Unhappy King, the Cowcap Shabbos, and the Two Brothers. That's our standard go-to program, and we've done it over and over and over again. But Uncle Pinchy is definitely the character. I mean, the kids of this generation, in Crown Heights at least, they don't really know him as much, but the parents grew up with him. Yeah, and so I used to be
more like the parents were traumatized by him, with the robber.
Yeah, I know. I get it. They forgive me. Most of them forgive me.
But what I love about Uncle Pinchy is that also with all the videos and all the shows that you do, I like the idea that the lessons are as present as the entertainment itself. Because sometimes people make entertainment and the message gets drowned by the quality of the entertainment, or sometimes the opposite, where the quality is drowned by the message of what you're trying to do. But I like how the Small Wonder Puppet Theater projects are very much making a very good balance of both. And so what would you say is the strength of when you do the shows that leads to this good balance?
Hard question. I want to just say,
it's just something that just naturally happens.
No, that's what I want to say. I want to say, I don't want to make a really mystical thing out of this, but I just want to say that I feel like my wife and I, this is our life. She has a life now as a therapist, but we decided this was going to be our shlichus. We really we wanted to go out of town for a while. The Rebbe told us to stay here. And it became obvious that this is our thing, and this is my life. And so I think that we've been helped a lot by the Eibishter, by Rebbe. That's just that we did the best we could, and it had great results. And Hashem should help it to continue to inspire kids, for a long time, I hope.
Do you have a favorite show or play?
Live show?
A live show, video, or a project that you did?
Well, I said the Getzel Shlomo was one of my favorites. I just love that character. I just love being Getzel Shlomo, and it's maybe I identified with him somehow, but not being a tzaddik, but being like that kind of whatever. I really love that show, and I still love. I don't go back and see them that often, but that's when I do watch it every couple of years. I always get a kick out of that. And Chanina Ben-Dosa was a great video because that one we did with the Jewish Children's Museum. So they put a lot of resources into it, and a couple of people there worked with us and helped develop it from a live show, which was a good live show, but became a really good video. So, and I just feel the ones that really got out there to far places, far away places, and that one was put by accident. It was put online. It was supposed to be like a trailer was put on Chabad.org, and they wound up putting the whole video on by accident for free. So we didn't make any money, but that's okay because people all over, from people over the world got to see that. So that's great. I feel good about that. And Getzel Shlomo, Unhappy King, as you said, was a beautiful message. So,
I just remembered then the Getzel Shlomo video. You have Chaim Fogelman do a song there, right? Is that Chaim Fogelman or is
it's Chaim Fogelman? Yeah. Actually, someone else wrote it. Muriel Rosenberger. No, actually, wait, no. I don't know if Muriel Rosenberg or maybe Ellen Joffin wrote it. Someone else who was working on the video made the song, wrote the song. It wasn't in the original live show. That's nothing. In the video, there are scenes that were never in the live show. Like I said, if you remember the Getzel Shlomo, there's a bunch of things that we just didn't have in the live show. We were able to do it on video. And also that song was never in the original show. And then they wrote it, and I couldn't sing it. I can sing decently, but I couldn't sing that tune. And we gave it to Chaim, and he did a really good job with it.
So it kind of leads that. So I brought that up because it kind of leads you to two questions. So my first question is, when you have people come into your projects and shows, is there some sort of concern that it's like that there might be different from you? So there's like some sort of concern of like your routine or momentum that you kind of have in these shows. So like, what's your process to like when you have collaborations or you have people working under you in the shows? Like,
are you talking about puppeteers for live shows or
puppeteers or other people that in general help out in the show?
Not really. I mean, I think I'm really a good boss. I really am. But I mean, I think kind of when the people I've had, first I have one guy who's been working with me for now 30 something years, and he's good. He's very good, and he said he learned everything from me, but he happens to be quite good with puppeteering and everything. But I think it's a kind of a given thing that this is the show we wrote. My wife and I wrote it together. This is what works, and they're free to give suggestions, but I don't think anyone would change something in the middle of a show on their own and just say, "I'm sorry, I thought it was going to work and it didn't." But it's kind of for better or worse, we have a set thing that works, and we say, let's stick with it. It's not broken. Don't fix it. Let's keep it. We can always build on it. Wow, with that joke, I ad-libbed something and it worked. It becomes part of the show. But otherwise, it's a pretty set formula pattern that we follow and we don't want to change it because it's successful. And I wouldn't brag about this. On the contrary, it's probably, I should have been, we haven't written new shows for quite a while now because it's always a new crop of young kids. It's like we'll recycle every 3 years. We'll recycle the show. So the summers when we do our general stories, not Chanukah and Purim. So every 3 years we'll have one year we'll do some brachos and something on the Kosel Ravi. The next year we'll do bitachon and something else. Then we'll bring that to Kalkep Shabbos. And so I really haven't written anything new for a while. I can't. I'm not bragging. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. And then my second question is, when it comes to music, you sometimes have characters sing the songs. So that's probably a challenge when you're doing not your regular voice, you're doing a character voice singing the song, not just talking, but singing the song.
I don't think it's a challenge because I'm really locked in when I'm doing the show. Like even when I usually have to do 3 or 4 characters in one show, but I'm pretty much connected to that character. Very rarely have I messed up. It's kind of if I can speak in the voice, I can usually sing in the voice as well. So,
okay,
yeah.
One thing is also interesting is that like in voice acting for a video as opposed to for live, is that live you're always switching on between characters, but when you're recording, probably one of the best ways is to record one voice in one take, then let's do the second voice because then you can have like a consistency of the voice. Do you do that when you film them, or do you just stick to the live show routine even on camera?
When we filmed it wasn't so much to keep with the same character as much, but we did try to keep, if there were a bunch of characters in one set, or we had one physical set, we tried not to have to take things apart. So we go that, but I wasn't so much for the continuity of the voice, and I think they were more just trying to save time. But I recently did something Oh, wait, you're in Florida now, right?
Yeah.
Do you know Dovey Trappler?
Dovey Chapler from where?
Well, I know Florida's kind of a big place, but he's somewhere in
Yeah.
Florida, but he started doing animation and he asked us to do some Baal Shem Tov stories. So for that, I told him I need to do, because I had like 7 different voices, and I said I could just do one puppet at a time. We have to film it that way, and it saved us a huge amount of time, but it was much harder for him to edit it. But it's hard to hold cup for that many voices, but in a live show, I'm really locked in. I can switch back and forth pretty well.
The last question is: I heard a rumor, and I think I remember seeing this, but is it true that you helped out David Taub and Itchy Gadoozy?
Once.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It was way back when he was living in Crown Heights. I went to his apartment. I don't remember what it was. He called me up. I was very happy, honored to do it, and I would love to do it again. But it was something he needed, another puppeteer and another pair of hands.
Yeah, because I saw Yaakov Horowitz pop up. I'm like, Yaakov Horowitz, but he does his own stuff. Like, I was so shocked. But that's like the geek of me asking. Okay.
It's from way back.
Yeah. I could probably find that video and I'll send it to you later.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, I'll just show you. I don't know if I'm not sure. I can't see what you're seeing on this camera, but this is just show you some of the puppets I have. There's the Kosel Maravi.
Yeah.
Here's the dreidel and the menorah. Trey Ray and the Lomi Sparshin.
Ah, for his nights where he share us with lies when the remind.
There you go. Good job.
Ago.
Okay. There's a challah and a matzah and a Sefer Torah.
By the way, did you realize that
Sahara was never far away? Never far away.
Did you realize
All right.
that?
Wow, you're good. You did a good job of interviewing. Good questions.
Thank you very much. And I hope to have you in the future. Because I bet Uncle Pinchy would be very excited to do it too again.
Not bad. I'll get you a piece of cheesecake.
And I'm taking a nap. Yeah.
Very good. Where were you when I needed a puppeteer?
Book me for a summer. Definitely. I would love to work with you for a summer one time.
My son is a shliach in Texas, and he does shows also. He comes in for the summer now. He's looking for a worker.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Thank
you, Yaakov Horowitz. Yeah, Tzlacha, thank you so much for joining us and
My
for
pleasure.
the previous podcast. It was a great conversation. I hope to have you in the future for more questions and more
Yes,
insight.
Hashem. Like another 20 years from now.
Mirza Hashem.
Okay,
For sure.
All
All right, Tzlacha Rabba.
You will. Bye. Amen.
Thank you very much, Yaakov Horowitz, for joining in the podcast. It was a real pleasure and a real fun conversation. I hope you could come back for part 2. Thank you, everyone, for joining. For every Thursday, we're having the Pinchy podcast episode. Please comment below for any suggestions of other people you would like to see in the podcast or any questions that you would like to ask about the podcast. And also stay tuned for every Sunday. We have our reactions. Every day we have our daily reviews. And every Tuesday we have our live streams. And, of course, every Tuesday, the Pinchy podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and join us every week.